you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Aloha, everybody. This is Harold Green of Brightree Financial Group, aka G Money Cuz. How are you doing today? It is definitely time to stop doing what you hate. It is a Friday for me, and I'm in an unusual place recording today's show. Sometimes I like to go to different spots to get different vibes to record the shows because I think it just kind of puts me in the mood. Sometimes I'm in the office looking at a computer and reading off data and charts and talking to you folks about market updates and different things like that. But today I'm sitting out here in the car at this place called Mauna Loa Bay. And Mauna Loa Bay, if you have not been to Hawaii yet, it's a place where, you know, it's pretty much a bay, like a little, it's a bay. And you can look out towards the ocean. On the left, you have Coco Head. What is it? I can't even remember what they call it. But behind it is Hanauma Bay, where people go and do the snorkeling and things like that. And then you have Portlock, where all the, nice houses are. You can get a house for $4 million to $25 million. You got some extra change in your pocket. You can come over and buy a house in Hawaii and just kind of enjoy the vibe over here. Sometimes it's very, very, very relaxing at times. And other times you just find yourself grinding every single day. So I want to talk to you guys about today's show, Work to Play, Not to Live. That's right, work to play, not to live, because so many people are working just to try to make a living, just trying to put food on the table, just trying to make sure the electric bill gets paid, just trying to make sure they got enough money to pay these high gas prices. But before I get into the show, Work to Play, Not to Live, I had a little bit of an epiphany yesterday. And I was sitting I think I was either reading a book or something. I'm trying to read more. Reading is not my thing. I am not an avid reader, but I have some books, ebooks, and so I'm working my way through one of them right now. It's kind of boring, but it's just a mental exercise for me to try to grow my mind a little bit, because I think reading, it does open up creativity. It does kind of stimulate the neural pathways and all that other stuff that goes on in your brain when you read and you take in data a different way than just, audiobooks or, watching TV and different things like that. So, it occurred to me, one of the goals I had set, and one of the goals I had set many years ago was by the time I'm 50, to be halfway to never having to work for money ever again in my life, by the time I'm 50. And so it's kind of like, okay, Monday I played golf because my cousin was in town. I woke up early. I worked, I traded. And in Hawaii, by the time 10 o'clock in the morning, the market is closed. So in order to get enough trading time in, you got to get up real early just to get through your progressions and things like that, and your trading and your research and your data analyst, and just kind of looking at data and then making the trades in the portfolio that you need to make. You kind of got to get up a little early. Sometimes I'm up at 3 and I don't want to be up at 3, but sometimes my body's like, yo, get up, dude, get up. And I was like, okay, I played golf on Monday, and now I'm going to play golf today. But I'm working this morning. I've been up working. And so now I'm recording the show. After this, I'm going to go hit the gym. Then I'm going to go see, go trade some more. And then I'm going to see a client at 10 o'clock. Then I'm probably going to grab something to eat. And then I'm going to be on the course at 1 o'clock. That's my tea time, is at 1 o'clock, meeting new people, playing with a friend of mine, and meeting some new people. And that's some exciting stuff. And it's kind of like, is that work? And I was like, is that work or is that play? And I'm like, okay, I guess it's kind of both. I'm improving my golf game. I'm almost in the 80s. So just probably a couple more rounds, putting together a couple of more nice pitch shots. I'll be shooting in the 80s. And then from there, it's like getting it down to the 70s and then eventually becoming a scratch golfer. That's my goal. And so I definitely want to become a scratch golfer by the time I'm probably 51 or something like that. So it just takes more time to go out and do that. But and this big bird just come and landed on the car, sitting there looking right at me. And I just washed his mug. And so he's up there scratching his head and stuff. And it's like, I wish you guys should see this, but it's funny. Yo, get off the car. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, becoming a scratch golfer, my bad. Yeah, so becoming a scratch golfer by 51 is my thing. And so I'm excited about that. But let's get into this thing about working to play and not to live. But before I get into that, I have some exciting news, some exciting things that are going on for my firm. And I kind of shared with you folks, I don't know, it's probably been about a year ago. I'm working on some pretty major projects and things like that, adding some new services to the firm. And I'm happy to introduce that we have now added a sub-advisory to Brighttree Financial. And basically what sub-advisory is Brighttree Financial becomes a money manager for other investment firms. That's right, other investment firms. And so we are working on bringing on our first client investment firm. And one day I will have him on the show to talk to you folks about why he's going this route to allow Brighttree. And although he's an investment manager as well, it had a lot to do with the to work to play and not to live kind of philosophy. You know, he's been in that mindset for many, many years to work to play and not to live, but he was missing a component in his firm. And that's going to help him get to the next level. And I believe we are that missing piece to help his firm get to the next level. And I'm extremely excited about that. And I think our minimum starts at about 5 million. So if you're an advisor and you're listening to the show, which I'm sure there's probably somebody out there that's listening to the show, other advisors, that's a service that we offer. You can definitely get in contact with me at the office. You can call the office 808-521-4401 and get on my schedule to talk about the money management service that we offer for other investment firms, because I truly believe that we all have gifts and talents that we ought to be maximizing those versus trying to major in the minors, which I've heard it said. And we spend a lot of time doing a lot of things, and sometimes they're just not efficient. So guess what we ought to be doing? We ought to be trying to figure out how we can work to play and not to live. We ought to have that living part figured out by now. But I want to get into this work to play and not to live. And what does that look like? I'm going to be a little philosophical and just kind of go through some of this stuff and then I'll give you guys a market update towards the end. Here's what I see in America today. I see so many people that are unhappy. I mean, they are literally unhappy. I see loads of unrest, people protesting in the streets, people very unhappy about what's going on. And, you know, Proverbs talks about these kinds of things. It talks about these things, and I don't want to get too deep into that because I don't want to throw you off. But when you're so involved in looking at things that really don't involve you, it is a waste of your time. It is a waste of your talent. It is a waste of your energy. It is a waste of your mental capacity. You ought to be looking at what it is that you can be doing to add value to your own life and to the lives of others around you. And you ought to be trying to figure out what it is that you enjoy. You know, and let's just kind of go through this because there's too many people. I know it's kind of hard. They don't really enjoy anything. And that's leading to a lot of psychological problems in the world. There's a study that came out that said we are more stressed now than ever before. And it was kind of like, why are we stressed? You know, we live in, especially here in Hawaii, we live in one of the greatest places in the world. Why are we so stressed out? Why are we so negative? Why are we so like downtrodden? Why are we so not making a difference in the world? It is because of what we are feeding our minds and what we are letting others put on the table in front of us. Like, are you watching too much TV? Are you watching the wrong kind of TV? Are you watching the kind of TV that just sensationalizes the negativity that's going on in the world? And I'll tell you folks, I'm a little bit guilty of this at times, right? And my daughter lives in New York and she's working for the city of New York, right? So before she goes off to grad school, she's working for the city of New York and the city planning department. And she's enjoying herself, but she lives in New York during the summer. And just the other day, some 20-year-old girl with a kid got shot, right? And the first thing that went through my mind is, man, God, watch over my daughter, keep her safe, protect her, keep her from the evil that's out there in the world. And then the second thing that came to my mind was there has to be more to this story than what they're telling us. You know, it's not normal for some dude just to run up behind some girl on the street and shoot her in the head with a baby. It has to be way more than that. That's a hate crime. That's a crime of passion. That's a crime of hate, because the average human being doesn't just go off and do something like that. That's not normal. They had to have known each other. Or that's the kind of detective stuff that like went off in my mind. And then after that, the details started coming out. But by the second day, it was already too late for me because I had already kind of started stressing and worrying about it. And, you know, and how I handle it was, you know, just, you know, praying for my kid. But stuff like that, right? Stuff like that makes you negative. It takes you off your game and you're not really thinking about the things you should be thinking about. you're in a negative space. And when you're in a negative space, you cannot create anything other than something negative. I'm going to say that again. When you are in a negative space, you can't create anything other than something negative, right? Let that soak in for a second. Okay. Let that soak in for a second. And here's why I want to introduce this concept: work to play, not to live. There's a guy out there called Scott Adams, and he talked about how you should be setting up your business and how you should be setting up your life. He said you should be setting up your business in a manner that it allows for maximum flexibility. You ought to be able to do your job in 3 or 4 hours a day and then be out doing other stuff. You got to figure out how to have that flexibility in your schedule. It doesn't really take anyone. It shouldn't take you like all day to do anything. I think we're just trying to fill the space. We're trying to fill the gaps, and we're trying to not be guilty of this time that we have on our hands. And that's something that I had been dealing with is, my God, what am I doing with all this time on my hands? I have time on my hands now. So I wake up in the morning early. I was telling a client yesterday, I get up, I trade, and then I do the things I do, go to the gym, come back and trade. I see clients, and then by 12 o'clock, I'm done. I don't take any meetings after 1 o'clock. I just don't. Because I get up so early, I know that my brain ain't worth crap by 1 o'clock. I should be asleep, taking a nap or something, right? And so for a while, that was my schedule, right? I would go in work and then like try to work all day and then like see clients in the evening, then see clients on the weekend. I was becoming useless. And I told myself, I said, you need to figure out how to play more in your life and not just work, fill the clock, fill the timesheet with just meaningless hours. Now, I'm not talking about people that have W-2 incomes that work, you got to be at work a certain amount of hours, right? Sometimes you can work out deals with your boss where you can be flexible and get your job done in a certain amount of time. You can do that. I brought on a client concierge and I kind of have that agreement with her. My whole goal was to be flexible with her. If I try to put her in a situation where I'm forcing her to be at the office 8 hours a day, just to fill the clock to justify her pay, then we're going to have problems somewhere, because if I'm not flexible and she has a family, she has a life, I need to understand that. I'm not saying that she's taking advantage of me and I'm taking advantage of her. No, it's having flexibility with each other so that when something goes down, we can be able to handle it and move on. So I told her straight up, if I can't trust her to do her job and to show results, even if I'm not around, if I can't trust my employees to work from anywhere in the world and do what they need to do, right, then I don't have a business. I don't have a company. Ain't got nothing if I don't have people on my team that I can trust. I'm going to say that again. If you don't have people on your team that you can trust in your corner, you ain't got nothing. You got a facade, you got a sham, and you got to figure that stuff out. But what do I do with this time on my hands, right? I was feeling a little bit guilty about it because at 1 o'clock, it'd be like, okay, it's time for a nap. I'm just drained. So I would take a nap and then I wake up and I feel so guilty. Like, oh man, shouldn't I be doing something? Everybody else is at work, right? Like, and I was like, yo. No, you need to cut that out. You've worked so hard for this. You've put yourself in a position so that you've made this happen. So you need to figure out how to enjoy it. And so sometimes I'll do a little bit more work in the afternoon. I'll do some research, something light, something not too heavy. And then either I'll go to the driving range or I'll do another like exercise for the afternoon. Sometimes I try to get in 2 days. And then, just trying to enjoy my day more instead of packing it with hours of meaningless stuff. Figuring out how to work to play, not to live. And this is interesting because, now I'm getting emboldened with this concept that I can be anywhere in the world doing my job and still enjoying my life. So I was in Florida meeting with a client and a friend and woke up, in Florida, the market opens at like 9:30. So it's like, dude, 9:30, like, man, 9:30, that's kind of late. But you get up, you do your exercise, you do all these things, and by 9:30, the market's open. You trade, for 4 hours or whatever it is that you need to trade for, and then you're done. Or we actually went and played golf, and I came back and traded. So I'm like, this is cool. I can play golf, have a lot of fun, have some lunch, and then come back and the market is still open. I'm like, whoa, I can get used to this. But I digress. I don't plan on moving to the East Coast just so I can trade the market at 9:30 when it's open. I don't plan on doing that. Now, here's what I would like to do. I would like to go and live in different parts of the world and still do my job, whether it's for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever, and be able to do some sightseeing and things like that. take advantage of the opportunity that I have. So in this downtime, what I did was I began adding in the sub-advisory service for the investment firms. And what that's going to allow me to do is going to allow me to fill my day a little bit more with things that are profitable versus things that are just meaningless items just to fill my day. And that's going to allow me to play a little bit more and play a little bit more and play a little bit more. I'm figuring out how to work to play and not to live. So if you're out there and you're in a say you're in a 9-to-5 right now. If you enjoy that 9-to-5, that's great. There is nothing wrong with that. If you find value in that, that's great. But here's the thing. You have to figure out how to be able to take breaks and go off and play a little bit more than you probably are right now. Because here's the thing that playing allows you to do. When you go out and play, you're refreshing your brain, and then when you come back, you're more creative. I'm telling you, when you're relaxed, you're more creative. And when you're in a 9-to-5, guess what you can do with that? You can climb the ladder a little bit faster. You can present different ideas a little bit better. You can climb the ladder faster because you're more refreshed, you're more relaxed. You're not buying into the gossip that you can't get anything done and your boss doesn't like you and woe is me and this is garbage and I'm just doing my time so I can get out of here. Well, either, yeah, you can do that, but what if they get rid of you first? You got to think about that. They get rid of you first, then what you got? You haven't been building any relationships outside of work. You haven't been doing anything other than just punching a clock, right? You have to get yourself in a situation where you're working to play and not to live, because this thing can backfire on you real quick, right? So those are some ideas for you. If you own a business, same thing. There is nothing with being an owner-operator. I've heard it said, but you don't have a business until you have somebody in there working for you and punching the clock and pulling the levers and all that stuff. If you're still doing that, you don't have a business, you just own your job. I mean, people say that stuff, but I think that's a bit narcissistic and egotistical, right? I mean, yeah, I still do my trading in my firm. I still see my clients in my firm. I built those relationships, not my employees. I built those relationships. My employees work with me to help me service those relationships and to help me, do the planning and to just facilitate what we have going on. The clients bought me. They didn't buy this other stuff. So if I'm going to be a knucklehead and say, well, yeah, I need to hire a manager, I need to do this and I need to do that, and I need to hire somebody to trade so I can just sit back and collect the check. Well, sometimes that works, and sometimes, depending on where you are, that can go south on you real fast. But there's nothing wrong with that. If you are an owner-operator, still, you got to figure out how to play more, because you can be creative. And guess what? You may be able to hire somebody to come in and help you run the business, and you'll get some creative ideas while you're out there playing. You'll figure out who to bring in while you're relaxed. It's just so much better. And it's going to help you not be a negative person. And it's going to help you pay attention to your life, what's going on, and how to create more value for the people around you versus being frustrated by what the government is doing, what they're saying on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. And you won't have the need to just binge watch Netflix all day. So we got to figure out how to work to play, not to live. And a quick market update. Oh man, this market, we are off to the worst start, almost the worst start in history. I think it's 30 years, 40 years or something like that. It's been crazy because the trend is still negative. Investors are bearish in the market. And why? They don't believe the Federal Reserve has what it takes to pull off the so-called soft landing. And what Chairman Powell said yesterday, or whatever day it was crazy. Said, I don't understand what's really causing inflation. Wait a minute. You just said record spending is causing inflation. Everybody knows record spending caused inflation. But do they have what it takes to get inflation under control? And those in the market say no, they don't. So what are we doing? We are camping out partly in cash. We're camping out in high value growth stocks. We're camping out in some pharmaceuticals. And I think that's pretty much it, along with some other cybersecurity stuff. Also, some green energy stuff that may be coming online pretty soon and turning around. But I'm waiting for the trend to change from being negative to positive before I start throwing more cash at these companies. And so for now, we're just going to have to sit tight and wait. And it's starting to rain out here. And so probably hear that, but we're just going to have to wait it out. Wait it out. And while you're waiting it out, figure out how to work to play and not to live, because things are going to get better. They're always going to be like this. It's just a matter of time before it takes off. And so if you'd like to have a conversation with me, you know how to get on my schedule. Check the show notes, click on the link, and get on the calendar, and we'll chat it up a little bit, and I can see if I can help you figure out how to work to play and not to live. And until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.